Hey, what's up? I'm Tom. Thanks for joining me today. Regina left a comment asking for a tutorial on how to remove backgrounds. I think that's a great topic, and today we're going to learn how to remove backgrounds or change backgrounds, and then I'm going to give you pro tips for getting the best results. I love being able to take a photo like this and creating something like this. The business professionals that I photograph love this because we can create different looks in a short amount of time. So we can have a clean headshot for their website, and then we can build content for them to use as well. They get to decide the look that they want for their business and their brand. Sometimes though, we're working with marketing teams and what they want is actually just a PNG file so they can do the branding themselves. So just a cut out version. And I think that's what Regina was asking about, how to remove the backgrounds. So we'll cover all of that. So let's get right to it. Today we are going to be using ON1 Photo Raw 2024 to remove the backgrounds and create composite images. I did purchase these backdrops from Backdropic. Hillary at Backdropic was great to work with. It's an Etsy store. I'll leave a link below. So I'm not an affiliate there. There is no commissions, and unfortunately I don't have a discount link for you. But if you look at the site, often those items do go on sale. I purchased these backgrounds because I love the quality and they work well with the type of photography I do. Now with ON1, I am an affiliate, so if you haven't tried it, please use my links below. You'll save 20%, and I do receive a small commission if you decide to purchase. But either way, you do get to try out ON1 Photo Raw for 30 days using the link below. So before we begin, let's set ourselves up for success. There's 5 things that really will help you doing cutouts. First, lowest ISO settings you can use. This image was taken ISO 100. I try not to go above 400 when I'm doing cutouts. Digital noise makes it really hard to cut out images, especially if you're working with fine detail like hair. Choose an f-stop to keep as much of your subject in focus. It's really hard to cut out an image that was shot with a narrow depth of field, like a 2.8 or 1.4 lens. I recommend f8. F8's going to be your friend for cutouts. This image was 5.6. I'm far enough away from Ella that it works out. But 5.6 would probably be the widest I'd want to shoot. Again, f8 is going to work great. Next pro tip is try to freeze action. So if you look at these settings, ISO 100, perfect, the lowest ISO I could do. f7.1, so depth of field is good. 1/60, it is slow for a jumping shot. However, this was a studio shot and it should have froze most of the action, but the flash duration probably was still like 1/800th of a second, and that wasn't quite enough to freeze motion. So because there was a little blur and with the hair, it was a lot more challenging to cut out, but it's still a fun shot and Brianna loved it. Next tip is be sure to use a solid background that has good contrast from your subject. The first 2 shots of Isa are both great portraits, but the first one would be extremely hard to cut out. You have her black top against a black background with dark hair. That would be extremely hard to cut out. So although it's a great portrait with beautiful lighting, it is not one that I would use if I was trying to cut out a subject. The next one with a gray background, there's lots of contrast between her hair, her skin, her clothing, which just makes a super simple, easy cut out. So because we photographed her lighting her from the left, and we selected a background where the light appears to be coming in the left, it's a very believable portrait. And for our final tip, we'll use this image of Hannah. We got 3 things going wrong here. First, not using F8, using a lower, more open f-stop, going to make the cutout a little bit harder. Next, not a low ISO, high ISO 1600. Noise is going to make the cutout between the hair really hard. And that final tip, green screen is not your friend. Sure, it's great for the movies, but when you use it in photographs, you're going to get light contamination from the green screen. That giant green screen is going to act as a fill light. It's going to bounce green light back into the hair, back into the skin, back into the clothing, and it's really hard to remove. While I used to shoot lots of green screens, I do now prefer shooting against a gray background. And the shade of gray is going to be determined by what shade gives me the best contrast from my subject. All right, so use those 5 tips. It's going to set yourself up for success with removing or changing backgrounds. So let's get to it. So now we know the tips for getting the best results. Let's work on this image of Caitlin. We can see the ISO is 100. We're at 5.6, not f8, but being this far away, her hair does look like it's pretty well in focus. So first step is go into develop, hitting the letter D. We will select our camera profile. This one's a little bit underexposed. I'm just going to bring it up a bit, so when we look at the camera profiles, we'll have a better idea of what they're actually doing. So ON1 standard is the default. I am going to use the Canon EOS RP camera portrait profile for this image. And right off the bat, that's looking really good. So Regina wanted to know how to remove the background. The easiest way is make sure you're on the layer. We only have a single layer open, so that's shown there. Masking, I have it tied to the panel on the right. The way that I have mine set up is go up to Window, under Properties. Normally you have a floating mask that kind of gets in the way for me, so I check Show, Nest, and Auto Collapse. When you use those settings, it will go into the panel on the right, and if you hover over, you'll have access to the mask. If you move off of it, it just automatically collapses, saving space for your other adjustments. We're going to go up to Masking, select Mask AI, click on the downward arrow, select People, Paint In, and Apply. So right off the bat, it did a pretty nice job, but there are areas between her arms that we do have to remove as well. The way that we would do that is with the Refine brush, and that's the shortcut letter N, or come up to the upper left and select Refine brush. Then you have the options between hair and branch. Hair is going to be great when we're going around the edge of her hair. Hard edge, so if you're cutting out, say, a car or something that has a very hard edge, that would be good. Diffuse edge, sometimes I use that around skin if I'm not getting a good result with hair or branches. So for this portrait, we are going to start with hair and branches and zoom in a little bit by doing Command or Control with the plus sign, holding down the space bar to be able to move around. And we can see we have some of that gray background still in her hair. So I'm going to make sure I have Paint Out selected, Hair and Branch for the method, and the size, I'll use the bracket key on the keyboard. We'll just kind of go over a little bit and we'll clean out. One of the things that always kind of made cutting out hard for me is thinking that I had to get every little hair in my cutout. and you really don't. Most of the time, if there were stray flyaways, those would be ones that I would be removing anyway in my editing process. Once I stopped worrying about trying to keep every little stray hair, my cutouts look so much better and the process is so much easier. All right, so that's looking pretty good. We're going to go down here, and sometimes if you go over areas like this, it's not going to work. But with the new refined brush, what you can do is just draw an outline of the area that you want to remove, and then it does a great job. So we'll do that one more time on this side.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
And we have a really nice cutout. So even the tooling part of her dress, there is detail behind it, so it's going to look believable. And that is a really nice cutout. So for Regina, who wants to know how to remove backgrounds, this is what you would do. The next step, hit the check mark. Then you want to do Shift E to export this file. You can pick whatever one you want. Let's just start with a full res file, but we don't want it as a JPEG. For file type, you want to make sure you select PNG. That's going to keep it transparent, and once you save that file, you'll be able to drop it into other backgrounds. So PNG, and then just hit export. But if we want to drop in our own backgrounds, we're going to take it back into Develop. We'll go up to our Layers panel and select Plus, and we are going to add a layer. When this window comes up, we could go to Extras, and ON1 has its own set of backgrounds that you can use. The one of Brianna jumping, I believe I used this image here. We're going to come back. You can upload your own images. In here, if you don't have any of your own images, you can import images as well. So these are ones that I have uploaded already. I'm just going to use this one, another background that I purchased from Backdropic, and we'll add that as a layer. So you can use the transform tool to size it how it's going to look good. This would be for a full-length portrait where somebody is standing on the floor. I don't want to show that part because we don't have the floor showing. So I am going to hold down the Shift key, bring it up a little bit, and down just a touch. Get that crease out on the side, and that's looking great like that. So hit the check mark, and next I am going to go to Caitlin's layer and drag it above the background, and there you go. Awesome, super easy. And if we need to adjust anything, we still can go into the masking and refine. So let's just take a closer look. All that area looks really good here. The shear tooling looks good. Hair is looking good. If we wanted to try to refine the hair, we still can, and that's with the letter N to bring up the refinement brush. Still have hair and branches. We have paint out and select paint in. Just kind of come around, see if we can get any hairs back in. So looking really nice. There's one area that's a little bit troublesome, actually two areas, and I'll show you how I would tackle those. One is right in here where we still have gray, and Refine Brush isn't going to work on that. What I would do, two solutions. One would be to use the masking brush, the letter M, or drop down and select the masking brush and have a lower opacity and select erase. And we're just going to come in here, small brush, and kind of come into her hair. So it just brought a little bit of the pink kind of through it and left some of the hair there. I'm going to hit Command Z to undo that, because on something like that, I would actually use the stamp tool. So Shift S will bring up the stamp tool, and it's actually called the clone stamp. And an Option Alt sets the source, and then clicking and dragging to kind of paint in that area. So that's actually how I would take care of that. And then finally, if we wanted to get rid of that hair that's a little bothering me just a touch, what you want to do is go to your top layer, right click on it, and select New Stamp Layer. Once you have a new stamp layer built, even if you turn off the layers below, they have no effect because everything is now on that stamp layer. So with our new stamp layer selected, you can double click on that and rename it. So on that stamp layer has a merged layer of the background with Caitlin. I'm going to use the clone stamp tool, Shift S, or come to the panel on the left and select the tool. So we have the clone stamp tool. I'm going to set the source by holding down the Option Alt key and then going over some of the distracting hair. This is what I was talking about in the beginning, where I spent so much time trying to save every little hair, only then to come in later in Photoshop and remove them because they were more distracting. So don't get caught up trying to save every hair, because you'll probably eliminate them down the road. Hairs that go straight out usually don't look so good either. That's another one that I would remove. I'm going to do Command or Control 0, bring us back out to a full length, and that is looking awesome. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe to the channel to keep up with future content. If you're interested in ON1 Photo Raw, be sure to use the affiliate link below. I do earn a small commission, which is greatly appreciated. You can also use it for a free trial. Thank you, Regina, for the idea of this tutorial. If you want a future topic, be sure to leave a comment below. If you have any questions or comments about the video, same thing. And until next time, keep shooting.